In today's four-part lecture, we will discuss how subordination works in English. We will first review the ways in which clauses can be connected in multi-clause sentences and define subordination. We will next discuss how adverbial clauses work, and after that, we will address the concept of clausal embedding. Finally, we will turn to the use of relative clauses. Let's start by reviewing the concept of a clause, a stretch of language that contains a single subject-predicate set. The sentence you see on your screen, "The boy on the porch arose and shook hands with Barry," consists of a single clause with the subject, "the boy on the porch," and the predicate, "arose and shook hands with Barry." Sentences, however, are not limited to a single clause. Many, in fact most, occur in all genres of writing that contain two or more clauses. For example, the sentence you see here consists of 4 different clauses, each marked in a different color. The impression I had was that we were leaving the West and entering the East. The most western of splendid bridges over the Danube, which is here of noble width and depth, took us among the traditions of the Turkish rule. There are 2 broad ways in which 2 or more clauses can be connected into one sentence. The first one is coordination, which we will address in a different lecture. And the second one is subordination, the subject of this lecture. Clauses can be subordinated in 3 different ways: adverbial subordination, relativization, and embedding. We will discuss each of these types of subordination in turn. But first, let's define subordination. A sentence with at least one subordinate clause is called a complex sentence. In a complex sentence, one clause must be the main one. The main clause contains the core idea of the sentence. It must have a finite verb, that is, a verb inflected for tense or carrying modality, and it can stand on its own as a sentence. Let's return to the example of a multi-clausal sentence we just used. We will extract a portion of it. The most western of splendid bridges over the Danube took us among the traditions of Turkish rule. The subject of this clause is "the most western of splendid bridges over the Danube," and the predicate is "took us among the traditions of Turkish rule." This stretch of language expresses the core idea of the sentence. It has a verb in the past tense, took, and it can stand on its own as a sentence. Therefore, we can conclude that that is the main clause. A subordinate clause adds more information to the main clause, but cannot stand on its own as a sentence because it does not express a complete idea and is also grammatically incomplete. Here's our subordinate clause, which is here of noble width and depth. It has a subject, the pronoun which, referring to the Danube in the main clause, and it has a verb, is. But it is not interpretable without a reference to the phrase the Danube in the main clause. Therefore, the clause is dependent on and subordinate to the main clause. Now that we have reviewed what subordination is, broadly speaking, let's move on to the second part of this lecture, which will address adverbial subordination.